Everything I've ever wanted as like a big goal, I've accomplished.
Out of sight, out of mind, ADHD style, you know?
Do all these things because it wasn't making me the money that I wanted.
Good morning, or I guess I should say good afternoon. I don't know what time it is. It's 12:30 and there's some garbage that I have to throw out. But I just kind of spent the morning organizing a little bit as much as I can on a Sunday. I've been thinking how 2024 is coming up, and I guess I didn't realize I was doing this for the past couple of years, and so I thought I would share kind of what I do to set myself up for 2024 goal-wise and how I plan to be more intentional. So I thought I would just share kind of what I like to do before the end of the year so that I have a fresh start in 2024. Hopefully you guys can learn some tips from me. And if I can get my life in somewhat organized chaos, I feel like you can do it too. So I'm just gonna share everything that I know, everything that I like to do. And I'm also gonna just kind of document it and report back on what I'm doing throughout my videos for the month of December. So I'll keep you guys updated on how that's going. So if you wanna see in real life type of action, keep watching my videos and subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. I forgot about my apple juice. I also want to just kind of reflect back on what I've learned this year because I feel like it's been a lot. It's been a bit of like a transition year for me, and I'm hoping for bigger and better things in 2024. I'm loving this lighting, by the way. These earrings are from Ardene's. They were like $8 for a pack of 6, I think, pairs or something like that, different ones. I can't wear them overnight or too long or wear them in the shower because then my ears turn green, so I only wear them for a couple hours a day. And if you're in dental hygiene, I don't recommend, or I wouldn't say, if you're in any field that you have to wear a mask, don't recommend because it gets caught and pulls your ear. I got stuck in one a couple times and I had to ask a coworker to help me untangle myself. It's not very work friendly if you're constantly having to wear a mask and take it off and replace it. That's enough of that. Let's get into the video. Oh my god, I gotta move this garbage. Alright, so my legs are gonna go numb. Just gonna quickly clean this. When you live with your parents and you only have like your bedroom as your only space, it's like the only area that I have to keep my stuff. I can take much space downstairs, you know. There's a little bit of my stuff in the basement, which I'm grateful for, but I don't really have like much area to put my stuff in. Anyway, whatever, it's not the point of this video. So I have my little car journal here is what I like to call it because it's a book that notebook that I keep in my car, hard cover kind of, so it's easier to write in. But I've talked about this in previous videos where I just use it to write down anything that I want, lists, YouTube ideas, scripts, yada yada yada. I have it kind of all sectioned out here. I won't go into too much detail about it. I do plan to buy a new one for 2024 and just kind of keep this as like a time capsule so I can like take a look back whenever I feel like it. I did get this in April or March, kind of right before my one of my YouTube videos went viral. And I remember because I started writing out my outline for that video in this book. So one of the first things I like to do at the end of the year is just kind of write down and reflect on that past year so that I can go forward into the next year, 2024, with a more objective goal of what I want and be clear on what I don't want. So I started off this list of like things that I learned in 2023. I'm not gonna read everything because it's not as detailed, and I'm sure I could keep adding more onto it. It's just kind of what I thought of at the time, and this was kind of written like a couple of weeks ago. So I learned in 2023 that I can get through anxious social situations. I am very much an introvert, social introvert, I guess you could say. I recharge by being alone, not bothered by anyone, not being questioned by anyone. But I do have my moments where I need to be social. For the most part, that battery gets drained while at work. So I get my social fill, I guess, from that. Anyway, I learned that I could get through really anxious situations, like meeting parents of a romantic partner for the first time at their birthday party, 10 days into being in a serious relationship, or like being in a committed relationship, and meeting their entire extended family. I was sweating bullets. It was just awkward timing. I didn't feel right not showing up for their birthday party. So I just put on my big girl pants, swallowed my anxiety, and did it. Met their entire friend group, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, second cousins. Did I say grandparents on both sides? Like family, friends, the whole 9 yards. Just met everyone. I was super anxious. But I made it. I did feel like I had to sleep for like 2 to 3 days after straight, but I made it through, and you know, it wasn't the end of the world. In terms of work-wise, I managed to temp, and I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I temped for the first time, and I learned what I liked and didn't like about temping. Liked the money, didn't like the parts that weren't consistent, unreliable type of payment, like having to wait, it wasn't coming in when you thought it would, being around a new office. So I really kind of stepped out of my shell there and put myself kind of right in the middle of things, and didn't let my anxiety kind of stop me from doing normal life activities. Also learned that working 6 days a week for months on end, not healthy at all. I've talked about it in like a lot of my videos. Do not recommend it. Just think back to me. If you are presented with an opportunity to work 6 days in a row, don't do it. Just don't. At the very least, not long term. Like once in a while, if you gotta, you gotta. But oh man, doing it for 3-4 months, like no. And now it catches me sometimes where I am falling on working 6 days a week sometimes. Hopefully that's ended, but yeah, sometimes it does catch me, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It takes me a really long time to recover. I've also really come to terms to understanding that I don't like change, but I've also learned that I can live through it. I can survive through it. I can handle it. Ties back in with my social anxiety, just my general anxiety of not knowing what to expect. Those are like really big milestones for me. I can't really express how difficult it is for me to do those things. I'm laughing about it now, but it is very anxiety, panic inducing for me, and draining, because I deal with overthinking before, overthinking during, and overthinking about it after. And it's not completely gone, but knowing that I've been able to get through those situations leaves me feeling a little bit better for the future. Sorry, I like can't sit still. I've also learned just how much of a people pleaser I am, and how difficult it is for me to set boundaries and sticking to them. So it's something that I plan to definitely work on for 2024, and I plan to take you guys along with that. I don't know exactly how to communicate my achievement or like my progress with setting boundaries, but I will think of a way. I will mention it. I will figure it out. And I also learned that I can really, really isolate myself when I'm not feeling good. I knew, you know, deep down that I was doing it before, but I really have managed to like build up this little cocoon around myself where no one's really in. I don't let anyone in. If someone wants out of my life, I don't really question it. I just say bye, and it's not like necessarily a good thing. I do think it has a lot to do with me being burnt out and just not having a lot of the mental capacity to deal with like outside relationships. I'd say like friendships mainly. And it has like nothing to do with the other person. It's just me struggling mentally. So if you're watching these videos, friends of mine that I just haven't had time to meet up with, hang out with, I'm working on it and I'm sorry. I think doing journal prompts, like ones you think of or ones that you find online, can really help you reflect back on your year and how to figure out your goals for the next year. So I think the next step is obviously setting goals that you want to do to help you prepare for the upcoming year, and then make actionable steps towards that. So you got to set clear goals. I have some mini ones that I am using to do during December, and then I plan to kind of make bigger long-term ones after I've done these like smaller steps to kind of help me figure out what exactly I want my goals to be, or how to exactly achieve them, if that makes any sense. Sorry, the lighting is being all weird. We're losing sunlight and it's only like 1 o'clock in the afternoon now. This is really frustrating. But I can't figure out the best lighting because every time I sit you guys down, my phone just decides to go dark. I'm sorry, this is just like the best that I can do. Anyway, so I've created like a Google Docs for myself to help me figure out like weekly goals. And I think the main thing to realize when you're making daily, weekly checklists, goals and stuff like that is to not be so hard on yourself if you don't do it. It's just a tool to help you stay accountable. It shouldn't be something to make you feel ashamed of not being able to complete it. So I've created like a Google Doc for myself, just weekly goals, and I've dated them, and honestly I just copy and pasted and just played around with the colors. So every week I go through and make little lists of what I want done. I created 7 lines so that I'm completing 1 goal a day essentially. That's ideally what I would like to be doing, but sometimes there's just days that I'm exhausted from work and I'm not gonna push myself to do something I don't want to do. And then anything I don't get done, I'm just gonna repeat it again in the next week, or if I want to do the same thing, I'm just gonna repeat it next day and move things around if I want to. I went ahead and planned out all of my goals until the end of March, the last week of March. This might change for me, but it's been 1 week and so far it's kind of helping me see what I want to do in the future and also see how much I've done in the past. So yeah. Then I have tabs here as well that I plan to fill out, like monthly goals, annual goals, and my 5-year plan. I try to look at it every day and I will keep trying to. But knowing myself, I will probably forget that I have this sheet out every once in a while. Out of sight, out of mind, ADHD style, you know? But that's okay, as long as I keep coming back to it, then it all works. It's all worth it. I have also created a little template in my own card journal here about my goals. So I did the goals and then the steps to achieve them. And then I did a timeline of like when I want to complete them by. And honestly, I forgot that I had done this until I was like looking through the pages one day and I was like, oh, you know what? Even though I wrote it down and I kind of forgot about it, it's been kind of in the back of my brain that I knew I needed to do these steps to achieve my goals. So far, it's been working really well. So my first goal was pay off line of credit. What do I need to do? Increase income. So I wrote make more YouTube videos, which I'm doing, pick up extra shifts, which I did, now not so much, and then trim my budget, which I've also done using YNAB. You need a budget. If you want to watch my financial videos, you can. Explain a little bit more on how I've been paying off my like $70,000 worth of debt using that. And then a timeline of paying it off by the end of January, February 2024. And I'm very close to that goal. I would say maybe February, March. A lot of things are up in the air. Like if I potentially start making more off of YouTube, I'm gonna be dumping all that money towards my line of credit just so that I can finally start with building up my down payment for my first place. And then that's my next goal, which is buy a condo. Then I have the steps. So I want to save for 10% down. If I want a $500,000 condo, which is the price that they're going at, probably more expensive by now. Again, these are just like rough numbers. I need 50,000. What are my steps? So once I've paid off my line of credit, I'm going to use the amount that I was paying off of it monthly, obviously to go towards the savings of the down payment, and then continue with any extra shifts. I wrote this before I was completely burnt out. So I might not continue with extra shifts. And then I wrote continue with YouTube to make more money. And then I wanted to reach that by the end of 2024. So saving up 50,000 divided over like 11 months, because if I want to buy in December, I need to have that money by December. And then I did a total of how much, once I take away the payment, like subtract the payments that I was making to my line of credit, which was like roughly $3,000, I would need an extra $1,500 a month to make that goal. So I'm actually meeting up with a mortgage broker tomorrow to discuss what exactly I need to get pre-approved and for how much and whatnot. So yeah, I'm hoping to have some of my questions answered. I know it's a bit early, but I wanted to talk to someone about the financial side of things so that I am not caught off guard when it comes time to me finally having what I think is enough, and then them being like, no, that's not enough for what you want, kind of thing. So I just want realistic expectations, you know? Anyway, that's something I am going to input also on my monthly goals chart there. But I always just like writing stuff out. It just feels so satisfying. And like I would love to have my iPad with me all the time, but I can't leave it in my car, because then I could be a little bit more organized and be able to jump back to the areas that I needed to. I don't know, I just really love this car journal. Like I just love it. I don't do well with like writing out full-on sentences because my brain thinks faster than I can write, and by the time I've started writing stuff, I've already forgotten what I wanted to say. It's just a nightmare, and looking back, it's probably why journals have never really worked out for me. Just having stuff that I can like do lists on, be spelling mistake galore, and it just feels like me. I don't know. It just feels like me. It feels like what my brain looks like. Like if you could see a visual representation of my brain, this is what this book would be. So I think it's really good to have short-term, long-term goals. Make sure you have a timeline on them roughly so that you can have an idea of when it's going to end, but also be realistic. Like you're not going to save $50,000 in 2 months if you have a minimum paying job. You're just setting yourself up for disappointment. So setting realistic goals is really what's going to keep you consistent. So once you have your goals, short-term, long-term, whatever they are, and your time frame of when you want to complete them by, this is where you create your plan of action after. Like I said, you break them down into steps on what works for you and keep breaking them down. And if you need to, you can keep breaking them down to really small steps. If you want to exercise more, start thinking differently about what exercise means to you. How about just going for a walk? How about just putting on your running shoes? How about just going for a 5-minute walk and that being good enough until you are able to set up the habit and keep it going? Okay. I can't sit on the ground anymore. I just need a quick Starbucks break and I'll get back into the video. 1 sec. Okay, I have my Starbucks. I just
couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't sit in my house on the ground filming like that. My legs were going numb and they hurt so much. So I think one of the more important aspects of achieving your goals and like goal planning is staying flexible and being able to adapt. That's one thing I really struggle with. And it's also one of those things that I'm doing it without even realizing I'm doing it. And it's only after I've somehow completed the goal that I realized that I was able to adapt and be more flexible with it, mainly in the timeline of when I want to complete it part of creating that goal. Everything I've ever wanted as like a big goal, I've accomplished, and I've accomplished it within reason of my like time frame that I wanted to complete it by. So like I said, I wanted to complete dental hygiene program, be working by the time I was 30. I finished school like 4 months after I turned 30, so some wiggle room, but I still, you know, managed to complete a big goal that I wanted to do by the time that I said that I wanted to get it done by. And when you complete the goal, the time frame that you set it by like doesn't really matter at that point. You're just so happy that you completed it. Who cares when you did it? It doesn't really help you mentally to complete a goal and then just get down on yourself for not completing it by a certain time. Like at that point, who cares? You did it. Who cares about the time frame? So I feel like you need to be flexible and adapt to be able to achieve those goals. And even though I tend to forget that I've written these goals down on places, I like to write them in multiple places so that if I ever come across it while looking for something else, like on my Google Sheets or in my card journal or in my reminders app on my phone or the notes app, like I write down my most like common goals multiple times everywhere so that I am seeing it unexpectedly and it's reminding me to, oh yeah, stay on track kind of thing. And one of the best things you can do to achieve these goals that you're setting up for yourself is to practice being patient. Oh boy, I am the most impatient person ever. I need instant gratification now. Like I said, I have ADHD, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. So being able to complete these goals that I've set up for myself has really tested me on that. And is it something that I'm better at? Probably not. Like that feeling of like wanting it now so badly doesn't ever go away, but I don't let it get me down mentally. I'm able to kind of stop myself and remind myself like, you just have to be patient. It's okay. It's gonna happen. But I also tell myself that it's okay to feel frustrated and feel your emotions. I really need to stop intellectualizing my emotions. I need to like learn to feel them, or like at least balance out the two. Patience, I feel like, is the key to everything. Whatever your goal is, as long as you want it, even if you have to change some things about it, you're learning to be patient because you're practicing that every day, every single second that you're like thinking about your goal and like not achieving it that second. Yeah, it's a weird thing for me. I feel personally there's no way for you to like truly get better at it. I think it's more of just having a better understanding of being patient and how that makes you feel, and then what you're gonna do about it. Are you gonna keep, going towards your goal? Or are you gonna just say, F it, I don't want to feel this way, I'm gonna give up? I'll give a little example of how I've had to kind of change and adopt one of my goals, which was owning a house. I really thought, going to dental hygiene school, you're making a lot of money. You're going to be making a lot of money. I plan to move to a lower cost of area. Not really. Like this was before, working in the real world. This was like what I was thinking in my head when I was even just like applying for dental hygiene school, like just thinking about picking a job that would make me a decent amount of money. So I knew that I wanted to be able to support myself financially. I didn't want to have to rely on anyone. Wanted to make a good income. Obviously everyone wants to make $1 million, but this was where I like wanted to be realistic about it, being like, okay, making roughly around this much money, will be able to buy a place on my own, be able to support myself comfortably, and be able to financially like support or just be there for my family and like my niece and nephew. Like I really changed my whole life once I found out my sister was pregnant with twins. And that was the thought process that kind of started me down this journey, was I wanted to be able to buy gifts for my niece and nephew and take him on trips in the future and be that cool rich aunt for them. And at the time, you know, being a hair and makeup artist, like my summers were shot, couldn't do anything, felt like I had to squirrel away every single penny. And there's a lot of reasons, but it just wasn't the life that I wanted, when I would think of how could I continue to be in this job but then also do all these things, because it wasn't making me the money that I wanted. So at the time I was thinking, okay, these are all the things I wanted, and then going into where do I want to live. My dream home is a rancher style house, 1 level because I hate stairs, with a pool, a nice view. And the house doesn't even need to be that big. I just wanted primary bedroom with a ensuite bathroom and a walk-in closet. So I wanted like that to be like comfortable for me. And then possibly a office, so a 2nd bedroom, a 3rd bedroom for like guests, so the kids could sleep in there. My niece and nephews, when they came and visit, like that's my dream, with the pool and a hot tub. And nice open concept. And I didn't want it to be too big where it'd be too crazy for me to upkeep as just a single person living in the house. And so that's what I had envisioned in my brain, and that's still what I want. That's kind of like the dream of the dream. 2020 came, I started my program, everything was happening, inflation skyrocketed, and now the money that I make yearly is still unfortunately not enough to even own a condo anywhere close to where my parents live. Also, doing more research, the style of the house that I want and a pool in the area that I live in is not that common, so it would be very difficult to find something. I feel like I didn't do a lot of research on it, obviously. That's just like kind of what I came up in my brain. So then I was like, okay, well, I guess I could settle with a house with no pool, just a hot tub. And then I had to adapt as inflation prices rose and housing market just skyrocketed. I cannot afford anything near my parents right now on a salary that I make like over 100K a year. I don't think I would qualify until, I mean, I think I would be qualified for a certain amount of mortgage, but not enough to be able to buy a place here. Like I would have to probably have an extra $200,000 saved up, $100,000 to $200,000 saved up for the down deposit. And so I wasn't interested in that. Anyway, so I went from house to then, okay, a townhouse in a town further away that I'm looking at now, to buy my condo. And then those prices started going up, and I was like, okay, then I will just get a condo, a very nice condo, probably top floor, 2-bedroom in the town I'm looking at. And then prices just keep coming up, and then I'm like, okay, this sucks. This really sucks. I'm just gonna keep adapting. So long story short, I've been able to adapt my goal to like the situation I am at the moment. Right now, all I'm focusing on is just getting my foot in the door in real estate and then thinking about what's next after. So I'm doing this all on my own with no help. I mean, there might be help in the future, but I will be kind of doing the down deposit and everything on my own. It's just one of the ways that I've had to kind of step back into reality and not completely give up on my dream house. I knew realistically that getting the rancher style house with a pool, like that wasn't going to happen right away, but at the very least I thought that in the area that I was going to live in, that I could at least start off with like a townhouse. Condo it is, it's fine, it won't be a forever thing. I just need to get my foot in the door, and then I can kind of start adapting and changing my goal to get to that rancher style house with a pool that I've always wanted. Definitely think there's room to be kind of crazy and just be in la la land about your dreams. But sometimes you have to take a step back and be a little bit more realistic so that you have a clear path on where to go and how to get to that goal, if that makes any sense. So having this big goal, using the house that I want as an example, it's very broad and it's very like overwhelming. You start looking at housing prices in the area, that's gonna cost me probably closer to $2 million by the time that I'm ready to, buy a place, there's no point in me waiting long term to pay for this dream house that I want, because the longer I wait to get into the real estate market, prices are just going to keep going up, and I'm going to keep having to spend or make that extra money for the down payment, right? So I'd rather just jump in now and then figure out the next like baby steps to getting to that big goal. Sorry, I'm going on a little ramble here. I think you need to like review your goals, simplify them if you can, if they're super overwhelming, and be realistic. And then also finding a way to hold yourself accountable. So if it's like the Google Sheets that I use, I actually like using these YouTube videos as a way to keep me accountable, because I know there's people watching. There's a lot of faceless YouTube short, like you could do this keeping yourself accountable without actually having to show your face or use your real name. And that's why there's a lot of weight loss type of accounts out there, because it is a good way to, keep yourself accountable. There's people watching you, cheering you on. But on the downside, there is also that fear, if you're like me, where you like to isolate and hide. When things get overwhelming, then you're not being as consistent. But that's okay if you're not looking for growth and you're just trying to find something to be accountable. But that's okay if you're just using it to make yourself accountable and not like make any money off of it. Then you just update when you update. I also think it's important to just get started on your goals ASAP. Even if it's just the sitting down and planning part, it will make you feel like you're doing something. You just have to be careful you don't get into this trap of that feeling like you've accomplished something, but without actually having accomplished anything. I get that way. I've done it before. So before I started YouTube, I started like a blog. I started doing all these things, and I could just never get past this point where I was starting to get some recognition, like people were visiting my blogs more and commenting. And one part of it was being afraid of being out in the public, like having people like commenting, looking at myself. It goes back to like isolating myself. And then another part of it was once I had already accomplished something, it felt like I was done with it. Possibly has to do with my ADHD. The planning part, you want to make sure that you don't get stuck in that loop and at some point actually break free and start doing it. So if you're that type of person, maybe just plan up to a certain point and implement the next step before you go back to like trying to complete this written out plan of like all the steps that you're going to do. Just maybe write the first couple steps and then start them. And then once you've started, then figure out the next few steps. So just to recap, this very long video on setting yourself for 2024, creating goals. This video can be used at any point. It doesn't have to be at the beginning of a year. It could be used whenever you want. Your new year, new self, new whatever can be March 14th, April 23rd, July 37th, whatever day you want. That can be your new year, your new you, your new brand. And you can start this right away. Whatever you want, like mentally, obviously in the real world, it doesn't work that way, but you can think that December 1st is your 2024 and you're gonna get a head start. It's always good to make yourself feel good that you've already accomplished stuff in the past year, and then reflect back and see like what you can improve and work on the next year. Set those clear goals with a timeline. Do those short-term goals, long-term goals, and then different aspects of your life, career, personal, health, and then create that plan of action. Break down those bigger goals into smaller steps, as small as you need them to start completing them. Use stuff to help you stay productive and keep track of everything, like Google Sheets, your reminders app on your phone, task app, whatever. There's so many on Etsy too that you can find that are super cute. I've done it before. I'm just trying to make my own because I'm picky like that, and also because I'm a little inconsistent with it, that I don't want to like spend the money on something. I probably will, honestly. I'll get fed up with my own thing and I'll just buy someone else's. But there's so many free like Google Sheets. It's kind of addicting. Like I can spend an hour just looking through them and be like, this is so pretty. How did they do that? And then finally, staying flexible and adaptable with your goals, being okay with change, and the importance of being patient, learning how to be patient and resilient, and just having a positive mindset that even though you set up a goal, it truly doesn't matter when it's completed as long as it's completed. And then just having something to keep you accountable, like using social media, again, Google Sheets, anything like that. Having a mentor, you know, all those good things to keep you accountable. Share it with your friends. I hope this video has helped you guys. It's getting me motivated, that's for sure. I'm definitely going to keep you updated and show you my goals and what I've completed, or not what I've completed, but what I've created on my Google Sheets to help me create those goals. I'll be happy to share that with you guys. And don't forget, the most important part is to just get started. Don't get into this loop of creating goals and feeling like you've accomplished them just because you've written them out and written the steps out, not done them. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Like, comment, share, subscribe, anything, everything. I appreciate it all so much. See you guys next time. Bye.